We do not always consider this, but we are lucky to have the facility of subways. Especially for those who stay in the city, the daily commute can be a huge problem if not for the convenient and cheap subways. While we thank the government for giving us a cheap and fast mode to travel, we do have to think about the number of people that travel in the subway every day. And every morning we get to see new faces and different kinds of people. Without a doubt, it is safe to assume that we do come across some weird people out there. Here's a list of the craziest people who have boarded the subway. This girl would make the most awesome girlfriend or wife. She was dead set on impressing a guy on her first day with her cooking skills. But unfortunately, her boss asked her to work late and she could not excuse herself for not cooking because of this. She started the cooking procedure in the subway. Dedication to impress apart, the passengers started to tear up and requested her to stop. We hope the date went well and she ended up impressing the guy. The girl could not contain her heart when she went out drinking with her ex-boyfriend and his new girlfriend. Her friends were there to give her moral support, but it is never easy to go through that phase, isn't it? She had a little too much to drink, and after she was done, she even packed a pizza to go. But sadly, she fell asleep on the way, and the pizza popped right out of the box. We are sure lucky that the pizza had a layer of paper below it. We would not judge her for eating it after. The goth culture has always been a bit peculiar and strange to us. People are ready to try anything new to draw attention towards them. Or is this situation more like the poem written by Edgar Allan Poe? The poem The Raven is still popular among kids these days? We can't say that for sure. We distinctly remember that this poem did not contain any reference to a girl with a raven in the subway. She sits there without any care in the world, seemingly planned to destroy the world. I guess someone should ask him if he is in the right place. The man seems to have dozed off and drove himself into the subway. The car looks like a smart one, but the person not so much. How did he manage to get onto the subway platform with this huge car? There are so many questions running in our minds as well. We would love it if someone gave us answers. Maybe he does not want weird people sitting next to him on the subway. In a way, he is smart. The lady next to him does not seem to feel safe sitting next to this guy. Don't you worry, woman, he is the man of the country here to protect us. The man works with the elite army rangers, and they need to stay in disguise for their training. This sharpshooter had orders to remain in his ghillie suit even during his off hours. What was initially meant to camouflage during the war is now in the highlight in the subway. If you are a gamer, you know you would want to do this on the subway too. This man's life revolves around him playing games. His mom is probably looking at this picture, wondering where she went wrong. His gaming addiction is so high that it even reached the subway. He cannot get from point A to B without busting out his gaming unit. But upon some conversation, we were able to find out that the man is pretty good at it too. He also has some sponsorship requests to play worldwide championships. Good luck. This paperman sure looks like a taller version of Groot. Maybe he is feeling lonely and wanted a friend to talk to on a subway. For all we know, he made this imaginary man up so that he can get a buy one gets one offer if you refer or get a friend along. Some of them in the subway got freaked out looking at this sight. Did they charge him for his seat, though? Whatever it may be, we hope he found his answer. You must be thinking that this lady is nuts or lost her brains to be wearing lettuce on her head as a hat. But upon some conversation, we found out that she is a chef and her restaurant had run out of new hairnets that day. The day had to start, but they could not proceed without hairnets. They had to do something, so they decided to go for a weird themed idea. They ripped apart a lettuce layer by layer to use as a hairnet. The customers sure had a good laugh looking at this. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Make you do not skip it. This man took this phrase quite literally into his daily schedule and busted out an entire meal in the middle of the subway. Someone should probably tell him that this activity has to be done at home. It's not too late till someone starts carrying around their washroom into the subway. This madness has to end somewhere. Well, at least you filled your stomach and gave others around you a good mouthwatering. Is she violating a rule of public transport? Yes, of course. You are not allowed to bring a cat or pet of any kind into the subway. This incident makes us wonder, how did the woman with the raven get that thing inside? She tried to sneak her cat into the subway without anyone notice, and the cat looks like it wants an escape from coat air now. She sure does not look pleased while the man photographs this cute little kitty on the subway. Did Batman lose his Batmobile? What is Darth Vader and Batman doing inside a subway? Did they take their fight to the next level? But since this fight has never officially taken place on the screen, we can only imagine who would be defeated in a duel between the two. Rooting for anyone would upset both the fans. We later found out that these two were street performers, and both of them water a spot near the M&M store for their act. This woman does not want her personal space to be invaded. She has made that pretty clear to everyone around her in the subway. She was probably tired of all the touching, pushing, pulling that happens in the subway. In reality, she was moving from Ohio to New York and was not sure how to handle this move. She wanted some space to put herself inside of a real-life bubble and think it over. Talk about new ideas and innovations. Someone told this woman that a hand watch or a phone exists to look at the time. Or is she just a fan of Flava Flav? Trying to rock the clock look in the subway. By the looks of it, she does not seem to understand how the technology works. You may never know, she may also be a time traveler, and this big clock is her ticket back to 1901. We are harsh with this woman. It is only a bag designed like a clock, but it sure looks strange at the first go. Times sure look hard when you have to seal your car and some other items to keep yourself afloat. Public transportation has been a lifesaver to many who have lost their lives in a single second. Not only did she have to run a garage sale to get some extra cash, but she also had to move to a cheaper place. She did not have enough money to pay the movers, so she decided to take this up by herself. The bus driver was kind enough to let her continue. Sleeping on the train and blocking at least 3 people from sitting down on the train can be the most annoying thing. The officials sure make it more comfortable for people to get comfy on the train. People who are disabled, pregnant, or even old need this comfort on the train. But no one asked them to take advantage of this and complete your mid-morning nap inside the train. Let's give her some more time to sleep over here. She is serious about this with her awesome light blocking techniques. This joke either is a stunt to kickstart his romantic subway love, or he needs a book to understand how to meet a woman on the subway. We did not give up the opportunity to speak to him. Being an Ivy School graduate and majoring in French took his problems to books whenever he wanted a solution in life. He wanted to meet the love of his life on the subway and tried his best with his methods. Once all these failed, he turned to books even though a cute girl is sitting right next to him. Look up. Around Halloween, people get very creative with their outfits. They wait their entire year to bust out the fanciest or craziest outfit for Halloween. This man not only wore his centaur for the festival but also chose to ride the subway that day. We hope the officials charged his double considering the space he would occupy and the number of legs he has. We wonder if he was able to get through the turnstiles at all. He took an Uber before reaching the station. We can only wonder what the driver must be imagining. Pre-corona, this is how people used to deal with outbreaks. Although not for a virus, in particular, doctors in medieval times used to wear this costume during the plague. The people in the subway seem to be confused with these outfits. The only person who seems to look interested and amused at the same time is the construction worker who probably wants to get into this suit himself. The doctors of those times had their unique kind of hazmat suit. It looks like there is more than one person dressed this way. By the looks of it, we can only help but wonder if they all know each other. If they do not, then we have to congratulate them on being the world's first synchronized sleeping dominoes. Even Olympic synchronized swimmers feel ashamed looking at this masterpiece. We are waiting for one of them to wake up when their stop comes so that this entire piece would fall on the seat. If none of them wake up, then it looks like they are going back to the destination from where they started. On first look, we were equally confused as you are. But let's look into the backstory to understand a little why this man seems to be riding the bus this way. This man had some stuff to carry to ran to the nearest seat he could find. Before he could make it to the seat, he got outrun by someone else, and naturally, they started fighting for the seat. While the other person remained calm and collected, this man decided to take it up as a fight. Sadly, he was kicked out of the bus, but this man was dead set on riding the same bus to his destination. If you are a regular in the subway, you would know how intense the situation is when the crowd is at its peak. Trying to grab onto something can be challenging, especially if you are of shorter height. More than anything, it would be the most unhygienic place to hold, considering the number of people touching it daily. This girl decided to bring her unique solution to the table by carrying a plunger to hold. You may laugh now, but once you fall during a violent break, this woman will be laughing at you. Falling asleep on the train is a skill. You need to find the sweet spot between being rocked to sleep and being thrown out of your seat during a harsh break. This man took it to the next level when he created a box to fall asleep inside. Now, this can help him in 2 ways. If the subway breaks hard, he can protect himself from falling. Secondly, he has a comfortable position to sleep in and at the same time not embarrass himself with a weird place. But the box itself looks embarrassing enough. Wow, it sure seems like a comfortable position to sleep in. The bus sure makes a wonderful place to sleep considering all the rocking back and forth. What qualifies as comfort can make us question everything about this lady. Perhaps she fell asleep in that position without knowing she is sleeping that way. But she sure seems to be enjoying her deep sleep on the handle touched by hundreds of people daily. One break on the bus and she has to change her travel route to the hospital. Many women do not get sufficient time to get dressed in the morning. Either running behind children or trying to send their husbands off to work can be a big task. She had an important interview that day and needless to say she was late for it. What other better place to kill time and wear makeup than the subway? Many of us have been in a similar situation in the past, and let's face the fact that it is necessary sometimes. This woman does not look very interesting in this relationship. I mean, she is a doll, after all. They lack a certain emotional quotient. He probably did not succeed with this Tinder date and decided to make his date out of plastic. We can only imagine him carrying this everywhere he went. His friends are confused about this. Hoping that he enjoys one-sided love, we should leave him alone. All jokes apart, this man is a performer. He is a performer looking to make some money while riding the subway. Since the leprechaun is riding the subway anyway, this might be a good time to ask him for some gold? The leprechauns are a part of the Irish culture, and if you were wondering what they are fairies in their folklore. As you may know, leprechauns can't fly, and hence he is forced to take the subway. It's a sad day for the fairy community. They now wish they had given leprechauns wings to fly too. By the looks of it, his pot is empty. The passengers must have robbed him the minute he entered. Hobbies can get out of hand very fast. Some people may get their Xbox to play on the subway and some people may get cozy with a book. But this person decided to become a grandmother at a very early stage in this life. His love for knitting took to another level. He even made a taxi-looking pair for himself with a matching hat. He is working on his next project with much dedication. He might be looking to get into the NYC fashion school with this piece. We should introduce this one to the man who made a sleeping box for himself. These are the kinds of embarrassing situations he was trying to keep himself away from. She looks like she had a little too much to drink and is now out cold in the subway. In her defense, she might be in deep REM sleep, and this requires you to keep your mouth open. The only thing that we can pray for here is that she does not start drooling. For all we know, this man is only trying to get as much attention possible from the people around him. We can only think that this man chooses to dress in this way daily. What an interesting fashion statement. The blue makeup on his face must take hours to cover and perfect. What is more interesting is his blue visor. Is it a kind of concentration device or a fancy hat? We can look at it and enjoy the view as of now. Robin Hood was never a rich man himself, but he took from the rich and gave it to the poor. In this case, the poor man is taking from the more fortunate people on the subway. In this day and age, Robin Hood had to rebrand himself. Performing on the subway is one of the new acts as Robin Hood. Robin Hood also took dance lessons to upgrade his new look. One of the passengers in the train assumed the role of Sheriff of Nottingham and kicked him out of the train. Being a tourist in a different city can be exhausting at one point if you do not understand the language. If you have to take public transport, it's a bigger challenge for them. With all the stress of trying to understand what's going on around you, this woman got stuck. Well, whether you are a tourist or not, buses in all the cities operate the same way. We can only hope that she reached her destination safely with her head intact. When we get into any public transportation that involves other public, the first thing that we pray for is that we do not come across a crying baby with us. That can be the most annoying time spent in that duration. This cannot be the mother's fault because sometimes understanding what the baby is crying for can be the challenge of a lifetime. The subway had one such baby who was crying his lungs out. Instead of getting irritated, this good man took the matter into his own hands and started playing his fiddle. By the look on the baby's face, this was a success. There are too many things to unpack in this picture. First, look at the picture in the headlines that read about subway maniacs that cause more accidents inside the subway. Considering that they live inside the city, you can never go out of weird people acting out in public. A man decided to show a live demonstration of maniacs in the subway. The first cry for attention is red pants and then hanging yourself upside down. But it looks like no one is much interested in his act. As we spoke about attention speakers, you cannot run out of weird people on the subway. Some of them are only trying to get attention while others are trying to record it and make the world laugh. We know that people have their unique style of doing things like walking or speaking. This man showed us that there is a unique way to even stand in the subway. There is enough place for him to stand or even sleep on the floor comfortably. But he chose to hand like a new age, Tarzan. Trying to give a whole new meaning to heaven on earth, this man wanted to show earthlings how it feels to be an angel. Even though you are an angel, you need good music to jam to. That is what heaven is all about, a bunch of good people dancing around to good music all day. He is probably on the song selection committee. But looking at his wings, he should have been able to fly to his destination. He is trying to be humble, perhaps. Is this man a time traveler? Someone who happened to slip by his time while sitting alone in his room and now suddenly zapped himself into a subway. He does not seem to be bothered by this too much. This man who is dressed in a British uniform must have slipped past the watch of the great man himself, Paul Revere. If you are confused about what we are talking about, Paul Revere was famous for his travel at midnight. His travel was not a simple one but to warn them about the arriving Britishers. The subway is not the cleanest place on the planet. The workers try their best to keep the place clean, but they run 24/7, and keeping the dark tracks clean always can be a challenging task. Rats do run on the tracks looking for some food to eat. But this is the first time we have come across human-sized rats running across the subway. Less of running in this instance and more of being seated in one place waiting for the train to arrive peacefully is more apt. There is a reason why the officials have decided to ban food on the subway altogether. It is not always easy to control what people may or may not eat if you give them the option to do so. The subway is a closed air-conditioned space, so any food opened here might make the smell remain for a long time. Not everyone likes a train cart that smells like food, especially if it is meat-based or curry-based. This woman was once scolded for eating fries on the train, so she switched to eating mayo right out of the jar. While her coworkers were happy that she brushed that morning, we are sure her place of work had a bathroom, and she could do it there as well. She should not have taken the expert opinion of Mr. Bean for this one. We can very well understand the condition of the lady who had to wear makeup on the subway, but brushing is a little extreme. Moreover, spitting into the leather bag after doing so is even more yuck to look at. If she is in such a rush, she could have taken out 30 seconds to use mouthwash. Looking at a life-size Pikachu is the dream of any Pokemon fan. While Pikachu is in the right place along with its furry rodent friends on the subway, it looks a little too big to be handled. For anyone who is playing Pokemon Go on the subway must be freaked out when they saw this one. Everything is all fun and games when you realize Pikachu has eaten a human. Oh, wait, it's just a man in a Pikachu costume riding the subway. Or is it what this demon-sized Pikachu wants you to think? Today there are a lot of new products in the market that offers you the comfort of carrying your seat to the subway. The subway is designed in a way that suits the seating capacity of the entire train. If they could include more seats, they would. Carrying your seat would make it an inconvenience for others to walk around. Especially if it's a crowded train. This man had a hammock with him and did not find many opportunities to use it. He decided the subway is the best place to do this, and he can also squeeze in a little nap inside. The endangered species are now trying to make their appearance in the New York subway too. You might not have seen a rhino normally walking around anywhere because they are mostly available for display only inside zoos. Many are endangered, so authorities are trying not to let them die an early death. This rhino, in particular, seems to be oddly shaped. It also looks like it had a bad day judging by its angry expressions. We never knew rhinos could also walk like humans. We cannot help but look at the people falling asleep on the subway and giggle. It gets funnier every time we see someone new. In this case, we are not sure whether the movement of the train has made them fall asleep on each other or that their books are poisoned with boredom. Either way, both of them decided to fall asleep in each other's cozy presence. We hope once they wake up, they do not scream and run away from each other like how Joey and Ross did. We may have a killer on the loose here. We are not sure why he wants to learn the art of preserving human skin or skull as a display on this wall. Weird fetishes are what build up a person to become a killer in the first place. Do they sell books or content to make such knowledge available? Well, it takes one freak to understand the other. But we are sure it is one of those book titles that ultimately means something else. This confirms more and more that people have stopped bothering what other people think of them. Before, people used to spend hours in front of the mirror, layering their clothes with more beautiful pieces to look presentable. But in this day and age, it seems like people are trying to dress weirder only to grab some attention. It seems like the man could not get enough of the shaman culture in the weekend that he decided to wear it to work. Look, if these people know each other, then great, because nothing like taking a quick nap on the train with your special someone. But what if they don't? What if they happen to be strangers who happen to fall asleep on each other? The girl has an interesting position to choose her sleeping position. We hope this can be the start of a wonderful love story, and we get to the beginning of their fairy tale. A tricky one to explain to the kids. Dressed like a gentleman, this man chose to sleep on the floor of the subway. You may be wondering why not sleep on the empty seats that were next to him? Maybe he boarded the subway when it was full and ended up sleeping on the floor. The subway looks like it has reached the final stop, and everyone cleared from the spot. Someone needs to wake him up before his journey starts, and he goes back to his destination again. The tire is not the only thing that is worn out in this picture. It looks like the man had a tough time repairing someone's tires and had to take a nap before he reached his garage. Or is he following the policy of, when in doubt, always carry a spare? But how can he help the subway train with these wheels? Subways surely do not operate on wheels. Or is he under the assumption that it is? The never-ending ocean of images of people sleeping on the subway is hilarious. Not only is it funny to see their facial expressions, but it is also funny to see how they try and collect themselves whenever a stop comes. The constant attempt to keep themselves from sleeping in a funny position and finally giving up and sleeping like a king can be a funny transformation. With this lady, she even gave up her hands and decided to let them run free during her sleep. At first glance, we thought it is a dancer about to start his performance, but this bloke decided to fall asleep while standing. We all know those people in our lives who can fall asleep in any place. Be it a park, restaurant, or even a movie theater, but they can find a way to fall asleep. We wonder if he fell asleep while the train was full and now is still sleeping as everyone exits. This skill must require a special kind of talent for sure. We are not sure if this woman is trying to put up a show for the people in the subway or showing off her skills of yoga in front of everyone. Maybe she did not have enough time to work out that morning. We know how crazy fitness freaks can get when it comes to completing their daily goals. Given that the train could be moving at different speeds and stopping every 3 to 5 minutes, maintaining this pose and standing still without falling must require great core strength. That sure does not look like a comfortable position to be sleeping in. How did this person end up sleeping this way? He is also in a suit, which makes us question even more about what happened that led to this. One harsh break of the subway, and we can picture him rolling down like shattered dreams. The girl sitting beside him on the subway does not look too pleased to sit next to this man. The snoring man looks like a gecko sticking on the roof of a house. We wonder how people with such large customers fit inside the subway in the first place. Secondly, are they not feeling hot inside the thick costume? This man or woman is sticking to the character too well. On second thought, it could be a person banned from entering the metro reappearing in different costumes. We cannot be too careful these days in the subway. People would try to divert your attention, and before you know it, your wallets are gone. We are sure this cuddly man is innocent. We never knew we could use poles as pillows as well. He must be friends with a woman who fell asleep with her nose on the handrest. We hope that his nose does not hurt when he wakes up from his fairyland sleep. With a comfortable jacket in his hand, he could have chosen to sleep on his jacket facing the front. Well, we have to face his brave choices and let him be. We also hope that none of his snot transferred to the pole. Life always needs a fresh perspective sometimes. Maybe looking at the entire world from a different angle would make you feel better about yourself? Oh wait, he is looking for change below the seats. The tired man wants to get some sleep, and here we are making fun of his situation. Sorry guy, hold on to the seat tight in case you are in for a great fall. The suitcase contains some top-grade weapons, and he is about to give it up for a good sleep session. The security guard looks like he is in trouble. Why else would two ninjas secretly follow him? Maybe they are being escorted by the guard. We don't usually see any ninjas on the subway, and here they finally are showing themselves to humans. For all we know, this could be a Halloween costume. Imagine if they whip out their swords and nunchucks on the subway and attack the target. Would you be able to gather yourself at that time and run away or faint and fall? This couple needs to get a room for their inappropriate cuddling in public. Given that these two love each other a lot, it does not give them the right to cross some boundaries. This scene may not be of the subway because if it were, the people would have reported them quicker. A little kiss or a hug can be appropriate in the public eye, but these two seem to be way too comfortable inside each other's embrace. Public display of affection is going out of hand these days. Imagine you are with this person on the train all alone in the nighttime. To add to this, you can also imagine the lights of the train suddenly went away, and the red glowing eyes of this man are staring into your soul. That scary imagine should last in your head till next Halloween. Red eye is acceptable only if you are sleepy, tired, or drunk. Not in any other form. We can barely get through the day by looking at his costume, but add the eyes and create a nightmare. It gets your pet to work day. But what about the people who are allergic to pet hair? Do they get the day off? Okay, we are way off the topic, maybe because we were too mesmerized by how cute this hamster looks. This well-dressed gentleman decided to get his furry animal onto the train. Animals are allowed on the subway as long as they are collared. But this cute little hamster will get trampled by the people if they do not notice him. The little hat on him adds to the whole look. There is nothing like carrying your cute husky to wherever you travel around during the day. This man who has done this several times seemed to get along with this process pretty seamlessly. They do not seem to be harming anyone, and most importantly, Husky looks like he's enjoying his ride on the subway. He has customized a bag only to carry his husky around with him. Does his shoulder not hurt carrying a heavy dog around? It's a sacrifice for a bigger prize. This person is not in any particular weird costume or doing anything funny. He is standing by himself, minding his own business. So, what's the big deal about this picture? Look closely at the man standing behind. This guy has to be Spock riding the subway. Even without the costume, we can tell the resemblance is uncanny. More than anything, the haircut reminds us of the Vulcan human Star Trek hero. Two friends and possible Star Trek fans decided to show this guy to the world. If the Husky Man is allowed to bring his husky in the bag, then why not this pit bull? He might have come across the Husky Man on several occasions and thought to himself, why can't I do it? Any dog lover would understand his sentiment of carrying around their dog to places. If you live alone and your dog cannot stay alone at home, what better solution than this? We can only pray that this one does not jump out of the bag and run.